Hey everyone, Ryan Young, Kama Jiu-Jitsu. Hope you're doing well. The value that you get out of a jiu-jitsu school is not only correlated by the price that you pay for your membership. I'll give you an example. Some people will find paying $350 a month. I've heard places as high as say $400 or $450 a month, which I don't want to say outright that it's crazy because if you're up in an area like say San Francisco, California, or San Jose, California, or New York City, rents for a studio are nuts. And if you expect to find a jiu-jitsu studio with a location, you're going to have to pay a lot of money because that's just what the standard of living and the cost of living, not standard of living, the cost of living is out there. If you got places where if you're going to be renting you're going to be renting a one-bedroom apartment and it costs you $5,000 a month. You're not going to find $100 a month jiu-jitsu. It would make sense that your jiu-jitsu would end up being about $500 a month. It's just kind of the way it is, because if it costs that much to rent a place to live, imagine what it costs to rent some place to run a business out of, right? Per square foot, I think commercial rent might be more expensive. You can, I don't know. I've done both, so I don't really done it. Haven't calculated per foot, but just to say that wherever it costs a lot to live, it's going to cost a lot to train. So when people, especially on our channel, and I get it, people complain, oh, jiu-jitsu is so expensive, and it's not worth the money to you, and then it's not worth the money to you. But I would bet that there are things that you would spend a lot of money on. You might not have a budget for jiu-jitsu, but you might have a budget for eating out, which also costs a lot of money. You might have a budget for nice cars, nice clothes, jewelry, like a watch, for instance. I don't wear watches. I don't even have one of those Apple watches. Although I think they're pretty cool. I just haven't gotten around to wearing a watch. I haven't worn a watch in years. So I place no value on that, on a lot of stuff that you might place value on. On the other hand, we might have people who spend a ton of money on jiu-jitsu because that's their thing, right? If they're not spending it on tuition for the membership that they're at, or they're spending it on a collection of gis, right? I have members that collect shoyu roll. What are some other ones? CTRL, and there's some other gis I don't know. Me, I just have combat jiu-jitsu gis because it's just easier for me that way. And besides, I like the gis that we have here. But some people don't like them and they want to buy other stuff, and they'll buy a ton of them. So that's the priority. And the amount that people spend on other stuff is more than what you would spend in jiu-jitsu. Now, let's say you're one of those who's willing to pay for something. I don't care what it is, but if it presents a value to me, I will pay money for it. Clothing, right? A lot of clothes are all made overseas now, right? And a lot of expensive gis are made in the same factory that our gis are made out of. But it's just marketing, or it could be designed too, but they're made in the same place, same factory, stitched by the same person. Right. And I'm not saying it always is, because, that whole area in Pakistan, there's, I don't know, it's like a city, and they have a ton of textile businesses where a lot of our gis today come from. But the price ranges are different. You could get one that costs $60 and you could get one that costs $300 new. Right. And, then some people collect them on Facebook pages. I know that they have buy, sell, trade things for gis, and people sell used gis. Okay, I guess it's okay to sell them, but you buy one? That's kind of weird, buying a used gi that somebody else sweat in. But with regard to memberships in jiu-jitsu studios, right, people ask me, because we have our premier membership, which is a private-only membership. We have our group class membership, and we have a combination of both. So when people ask me for the very first time when they come to train, they see what our memberships are, just those 3 types of memberships, and they say, I don't know, Ryan, what do you think? Which should I do? And I said, really, it's up to you. This is what we offer, and you can take any one of the three, right? Group class only, private only, combination of both. And it really comes down to your time and your money. Some people have more money than time, right? I know of one student who travels a lot. In fact, he's out most of the week, and he's in for the weekends, and he's only in for some weekends. So he trains exclusively privately. There are times when I can get him to come into a group class and he can train, which is good. It's good for his development, right? But for the most part, he travels for work and he makes a lot of money. But he wants to do jiu-jitsu, so his thing is, okay, if my only opportunity to do jiu-jitsu is privately, then tell me how much and I'll pay. I have another client who runs his own business and he has, I don't know, 80 to 100 employees, and it's an awesome venture, but it takes all of his time. Plus he's got young kids, or relatively young kids, and he likes to spend time with them on their activities. So that's where his priority is. His priorities are running his business and hanging out with his kids. So any jiu-jitsu that he does, it's done privately. Even if it's 2 or 3 sessions a week, it can be costly, but for him, the time that he has is more valuable than the money he spends for his private training. I have other students who cannot afford to do any privates whatsoever, so they just do the group only membership, which is fine, right? They get good as well. And the last option are the people who are both flexible with time and money. So they will do the combo memberships, group plus privates. Because, if people ask me, okay, Ryan, in your view, what would be the best way to do it? Group plus private. That's what I did. That's what Dave Kama did. That's what a number of our students did. And we've seen over time that the best development comes with the private lessons to go over the specific things that you need to cover, and the group lessons to work as kind of your lab, right? Where you can kind of test out things that you're working on, or you can just get the reps in on what you were taught, because you don't normally get in reps in your private lessons because there isn't much time, and that time is pretty costly. So you want to get in the most learning that you can, but the training you will do in the group class, or you'll do in open mats, or you'll do on your own, meet with some buddies at your house where you have mats and train there. But the value that you receive out of any choice has to do with what you value. If you value your time more than your money, private lessons. If you value your money more than your time, group lessons. And if you're open on both, then you take your combo memberships. Now, when you go from one school to the other, why would one school on one side of the street be at $150 a month, and a school at the other side of the street, right across the street rather, would be $300 a month? That's 100% increase to go from one school to the other. Now, a lot of you members, YouTube subscriber members, will look at that and go, it's simple. I'll always go to the $150 a month. Okay, but let's say you now look at the differences between the two. School number one, $150 a month. They offer, that's a 3 times a week membership, which you go, it's okay for me. But they only train 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, right? And they have a nighttime class. So they really only have 3 days a week, and that's really all the membership offers you, up to 3 times a week, because that's all the classes they have. They may have a lower membership even that just does a 2 times a week or a 1 time a week. It really doesn't, it kind of goes that way. A lot of schools will do that. We don't. We just have one membership. It's just, you can train as many or as few times in any given month as you wish. It's all the same price. And we do that to kind of keep things simple, because it's just too many moving parts to have memberships that have different times a week training, at least for us. That's just kind of how it is. We like people to train as much as you possibly can, and we don't like to restrict you based on, and then what's the conversation going to be? Hey, Johnny, you've trained an average of 3 days a week this month, and you're only paying for 2. I hate those conversations. So, as does Dave Kama, which is why we don't have those conversations, because every membership is an unlimited membership. It's as limited as you want to make it. But from our perspective, come all that you want, and we encourage you to come as many times as you want, or as you can, rather. The other, so like I said, group class 1 or school 1, lower price but limited class offerings. School 2, double the price, many more school class offerings, but you really only need the 3 that were at the cheaper school. That's the times that you want to train. If that's the case, based on that alone, it's kind of an easy no-brainer decision. You're going to train at the 150 a month school. But what are some other possibilities that could be offered as something that would increase the value and the justification for the higher price at the other school? Well, let's say the more expensive school has more people to clean the mats. The mats are always cleaner. Let's say the one that costs more has multiple mats, so they can have multiple classes going on at once. They can have a kids class going at the same time as an adult class, at the same time as a private session. Whereas at the 150 a month school, they have to have kids classes before the adult classes, and then privates are done on the off times. You can't have a private done during a class. Sometimes a school that charges a lesser amount has only one instructor. That's it. Whereas the one that charges more has 10 instructors, right? That allows them to have more class times, because a single instructor cannot end up teaching too many times in a week. Otherwise, your body would just get busted up, and then also it just wears on your body and wears on you mentally to do 20 classes a week. I don't know of any instructors that teach 20 times a week. I teach 5 or 6 times a week. Well, 5 times for my group classes, and maybe another 2 or 3 a week in privates. So I'm on the mat teaching maybe 6 to 10 times a week, which is a lot, right? But that's a comfortable amount for me. Some instructors are comfortable with less. Master Dave, he'll teach 1, 2, maybe 3 days a week. Except when he's in Texas, then he'll teach 5 days in a particular week, because he's teaching in Austin and Flower Mound, and then going back to do his regular classes in Irvine, California. But it could also be, so the facilities are one, the time slots are another, cleanliness is another. Let's say you just want to train with people that are like you. And to get with the people that are like you, you have to pay more. Or to get to a place where you can afford to train it, let's say afford as far as your priorities go, right? You want that $150 a month place. The people there are nothing like you. Let's say you're like me, you're 55 years old, professional, type worker, and then you go to the school that's 150, and it's a lot of younger people. Younger people, maybe college age, maybe in their early mid-20s. They're nothing like me. I have nothing in common with them other than that I was where they are today. But other than that, we don't have really the same interests. We don't have the same, type of life experience or anything like that. But they're cheap, so I train there. And I say cheap, that's just a relative term to others. To some people, $150 a month is still too much. But, just for the sake of the example, 150 versus 300. Right? So there's no hard and fast rule or cut and dried rule on whether a $150 a month school is cheaper than a $300 a month school. As far as dollars, yes, but as far as value is different, right? It comes down to what you value and what is offered. Why would somebody buy a Lexus versus a Toyota? Because a lot of times they're the same car. For instance, my Sequoia, which I'm in right now, was in the shop when I was in Orlando. I had to take it off to the shop because it was leaking. It's got a lot of miles on it. It's an old car, but I really like it, so I keep it. I just fix it. So they gave me a loaner car, and it was a brand new Toyota Highlander, which is a nice car. I like it, right? Nice SUV, has a lot of space. Not as much as a Sequoia, but has a lot of space. But I drove it, and when I drove it, I probably drove it about 1,000 miles because I had to go from Orlando up to Atlanta, and then to Columbus, Georgia, and then to Athens, Georgia, and then to Birmingham, Alabama before I came back to Orlando. So I drove a ton of miles in a Toyota Highlander, and I got to know the car pretty well. Now, it's a good car, but is it what I like? Not really. It's a little noisier than I like. There's that drone because the lack of insulation, I guess, in the car to keep the road noise away. But you drive in an RX 350. I don't know what they call them now, but it's an RX, a Lexus RX. It's the same vehicle as a Toyota Highlander, but it's a Lexus. So there's Lexus trim on it. There's Lexus insulation. There's Lexus badges all over, nicer leather, all that kind of stuff. But that car is much quieter. You could be driving on the freeway and it feels like you're riding in a library. Whereas if you drive in a freeway on a Toyota, on a Highlander in this case, it's not the case. It's a little noisier. Also, the seat is probably a little less comfortable. I got out of the seat, my back hurt a little bit. It could be just because I was sitting for so long. It could be. But, it got me there. It's basic transportation. It got me from point A to point B, which is really all that's important to me. I wasn't complaining about the car. I don't drive Lexuses now. I used to, but I drive Toyotas, Sequoia and a Tundra. That's what I drive. And they're fine with me. I love them. It's not as quiet, but I can't get this car that I'm driving in a Lexus. So I'm going to just drive the Toyota. Right? But that's my value is getting from point A to point B, and I want a car that's reliable. That I don't have any big money spent into it for repairs until it hits 250,000 miles, which is kind of where it started with this car. But so as far as your jiu-jitsu, you may be okay with what you get for $150, but you cannot expect the world from a school that charges half the amount from the school that charges more. On the other hand, if a school charges more, but they give you the same exact value as a school that charges less, including the instructor himself, then it would make sense to not pay the higher dollar amount, right? So for those of you who are looking for schools, or for those of you who are evaluating whether you should stay at your school to go to another school, don't just look at and focus on the price. The price is a factor, but it's not the only factor. As you'll find later on, you think to yourself, if it's too expensive and it doesn't provide value, then you're going to leave. On the other hand, if it's cheap but it doesn't provide value, you're going to leave. At least once you're already there, right? Because I get people that call and they ask about Kama Jiu-Jitsu. If the first question they ask me is, what does it cost? Then in my mind, 9 times out of 10, once I tell them, they go, okay, thank you, and they hang up. So what they're doing is they're just simply shopping on price. They're not shopping on value. The only way to shop on value is to actually come in and experience the Kama Jiu-Jitsu classes, experience, however you want to call it. Then you look at the price and then you evaluate. Now, if at that point in time you come in, you've come in, you've checked it out, you've done a class, you've spoken to people that are in your class, you've spoken to instructors, spoken to me, you see the price, and then you say, okay, yeah, no, I'm not coming. And fine, thanks for coming by, I really appreciate you. On the other hand, if you call and you get the price and then you dismiss it just based on price, then you may be doing yourself a disservice. Because you may end up at another school that's cheaper, which you undoubtedly will find one. And I tell people, look, if price is your main thing, there are a lot of great schools around us that are cheaper. So consider going to them instead if price is your main thing. But if you want to learn what we teach, you want to be in the environment we have, there's that video that shows one of our studios, our Flower Mound, Texas campus, then And if you're coming to Flower Mound and you like what we have there, then it's kind of like, okay, it's gonna cost me more, but I have a kids lounge. It's gonna cost me more, but I can get work done in this studio because we have a bar where you can work. We have high-speed Wi-Fi, which can help you with your work. Or, you like the fact that you and your child can train at about the same time, and when your class continues on, your child can just sit in the kids lounge and be entertained because we've got TV over there, and we've got other kids in there. Be entertained for that difference of time that will be until you get out of your class. Or let's say you like showers, right? You want to be able to come to class, shower, and then head out clean. We have that. If you want a school that offers towel service, if you want to have a gi, a clean, fresh gi waiting for you when you come in. We don't offer that yet, but we can. We have the facilities and the ability to do it. We just haven't added that in as a service. Then you can do it, right? So don't consider price only. Consider the jiu-jitsu that you'll be learning. Let's say if you want to learn sport, but the self-defense one is all all that's available to you, then it's not what you want, right? It can be a different martial art at times. So, consider that first. Find the art that you want. Then find the instructor that you want, or instructors, if they're at different places. I want to learn this person, and this person. So then you found the art, you found the instructor. Let's say you narrowed it down to 3. Also check your geographical location or proximity to the school. Then go into the school, look around, try some classes out, and then and only then do you look at price. Then at least you have all the information that you can compare, and you can decide whether or not one is a value or one is not. I hope that made sense to you. And I hope this video helped you to get a little more color on how to decide on the school that you want to be at. Please like this video if you liked it. And if you didn't, then that's fine too. You can hit the thumbs down. That's fine. Either one will help me, but likes are always better, right? We all want to be liked. And if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please do so. And if you'd like to come and visit us, you can visit us first online at KAATARO.online.com, where you can see our training methodology, as well as our curriculum, as well as the videos that go with it. Or you can come visit us in person at one of our 3 locations. We've got one in Austin, Texas. That's Kama Jiu-Jitsu Austin. We've got one in Flower Mound, Texas. That's Kama Jiu-Jitsu Dallas Fort Worth. And we've got one in Laguna Hills, California. That is Kama Jiu-Jitsu Irvine, California, that is. And we'd love to have you over. Anyway, that's all I got for you. Take care. Happy training. Bye now.